Hi, thank you for tuning in to another Mr. Sanemon review. This is Mr. Sanemon. Today we're going to be talking about Beware the Batman, a show created by Glenn Murakami, Sam Register, Mitch Watson, and Butch Luckick, I think is his name. It's a CGI television show produced by DC Entertainment, Warner Brothers Animation, of course. It appears on the DC Nation Block Cartoon Network, I think Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. thereabouts. It's has a very angular style to the animation. I think that's probably the thing that most people got turned off on about the show. They saw a grab or like a proof of concept drawing that had been released that was drawn and it wasn't CG, so nobody thought, people were like, oh, it's going to be drawn like that, and the art style, no one really liked it. You get to the animated side of it and you look at it and it does, or the animation, and it looks really good as a CG cartoon. It wouldn't look as good if it was drawn in that style. Right now there are 4 or 5 episodes out, because I believe the most recent one aired this morning. The main characters are Bruce Wayne as Batman. I think this starts right after he became the Batman. There's no Robin. There's no Catwoman. I don't think he's met Joker yet, and there aren't any really, recurring villains yet. It does take a bit of a noir approach to it, much as the original Batman the Animated Series. Alfred Pennyworth makes an appearance, though this time he's less of a consoling butler and more of a boot camp instructor to Bruce Wayne. He wants to kick his ass into gear, which is really cool. I like this Alfred because he feels like he's more useful and more central to the plot. Granted, he's not really a combatant. He does try to be more of a badass, and they try to make him more of a badass in this. He's going back to the old Alfred with the MI6 background instead of being just always having served the Wayne family, which I think is quite a bit more like he seems more of a pugilist type than a wizened old man. So I like that about him. He seems way more morally ambiguous, which goes along with the whole Batman thing to begin with. And this Batman seems a lot more morally ambiguous. He'll fight someone. He's not going to try to kill them, but he's punched several enemies off of a bridge, and then he doesn't fight like he's holding back, which is something that you usually get as part of the Batman thing. He knows how to fight without killing people, and that even though that whole how can you be a good person if you kill someone thing comes up, which it has to. It's a DC cartoon, and that's sort of their central thing. Should we kill the bad guys as of recent? I don't like it because you're really causing more death by not killing a lot of these villains, but you know what? It doesn't come up too much, so I really think that... but then you have Tatsu Yamashiro, and she's hiding from the League of Assassins, which goes to, you have Anarchy, which I don't think has made a TV appearance, Magpie, which may have, but I really like this Magpie, Ra's al Ghul, who definitely has made non-comic book appearances, Tobias Whale, Black Mask, Professor Pig, Mr. Toad, Humpty Dumpty. Anarchy is going to take the main role as the villain. You're not going to see famous Batman villains. You're not going to see the Joker as much. You're not going to see Clayface as much. You're not going to see Mr. Freeze as much, I don't think. You're probably not going to see the Penguin too much because he's been in every Batman animated series there's been. So you're going to see a lot of the comic book villains that don't get a lot of the spotlight in television. So far, Anarchy is taking the center stage with one-off villains like Magpie and Professor Pig. So yeah, as far as what I think of it, I think it's really good. It got a 7.4 on IMDb. It's been generally well received. The promotional art did get a lot of, and I'll probably include a link to the promotional art the promotional art that wasn't really supposed to be promotional art um, did receive a lot of upset because it didn't look very good in 2D, and you've got Alfred using guns. So, you know what? I don't care. I enjoy the series, regardless of what the promotional art initially looked like. The CGI animation is wonderful. They pulled it off well. I love the Bat costume. I love the Batmobile. Um, the sound is really good. The opening theme is pretty good, though it's really short, which is great. Should be really short. In general, the series seems really inspired, and over the past 5 episodes, it seems like it's going in the right direction. A lot of the humor comes from like the action of it is really action packed, and it's very dark, and the plot itself is dark and intense. The detective work, on the other hand, it's making fun of like CSI and detective shows where the detective work is really shoddy, and they're like I remember, I think in the first episode, maybe the second episode, they're trying to get a reflection out of the barrel of a gun and then reversing the image to get a name. And I thought, there's no way they take this seriously. There's no way they expect us to take this seriously. This has to be a joke. Some of the writing does seem that way. And some of it does seem like it's a little bit over the top, but sometimes not as much in a good way. I do like what I've seen so far, though. I like the character development. I like what they've done with it so far. The twists are pretty good. It's a very Batman, and it's taking the art in a different direction, and it's taking the series to something you don't usually get in a DC animated show. You usually get the big villains with the really if we don't stop these guys right now, the city is over. It's more personal to Batman, and I like that. I like the fact that it has more to do with Bruce Wayne than a lot of the other sort of villains did, especially the first episode where it really and you get to see Batman and you get to see his character is not perfect, not 100% morally conscious. He's just a fighter, and sometimes he makes mistakes. Sometimes that's good. That's not having a perfect character, at least in like what they do and how they behave, makes the character closer to perfect. Because if you're trying to get someone to believe the character, then having a character that's believable helps you to believe them. And then talking about having put Lunkhead, I think Harvey Dent, talking to it's Harvey Dent's Two-Face, but talking about having put Lunkhead into the hospital for 2 months in a coma, which is something you don't see Batman as like. Yeah, sure, you've seen him break their arms or, smash their wrists before, but you don't really see anybody saying, oh, Batman put this guy in a coma for 2 months, which to me is closer to what a lot of the villains deserve. So I do like, it's a very genre-savvy cartoon. It's very, very fun to watch, and I recommend it to basically anyone. It's not too dark for your kids to, enjoy. It's not too complicated for them to enjoy, but it is something you might want to watch yourself because it's great DC fun, and if you're into DC, you're going to be into this cartoon. If you really like a lot of other Batman stuff, then you might not like the direction they took some of it in, but it just depends on your personal taste. I think if you look at it by itself, or if you look at it as part of the DC Continuum, it works really well. Anyway, until next time, feel free to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And I'm sorry if this review seems a bit impromptu. I'm currently doing it from a different computer and do not have a script for this one. So just gonna let this one slide, and it's a little long, so I apologize. But anyway, have a good one.